Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the 100th episode of Reflections with Dr. Gary Harvey. I'm pretty stoked about that. It's a milestone for me. Honestly, there were some moments where I wasn't quite sure if we were gonna make it. If I'm being perfectly honest with just life, really, not really anything else, but just life. But I'm excited. Again, it's our 100th episode. So pretty excited. Thank you guys for joining in. Like, share, subscribe, drop a little note. Let us know you're here. Say hello. Whatever. But before we get started, I got a handful of things that I want to try to do. A couple little shout outs that I want to give. As far as various things are going on here. So let me pull something up real quick. Let me make sure that let's see, pulling the right one up out here. So the first thing I want to do, those of you that have been rocking with us for a little bit know that we had a couple players from the Florida Avengers from the WNFC, Women's National Football Conference, on the show a couple times. And so I want to give a huge shout out for this weekend. Ashanti Broxy from the Florida Avengers has made the All-Pro team this year. So she's on Team Drip. So congratulations there. Definitely want to throw that shout out. We've also got, if you're here in the local Olean area, or surrounding area, there is the Juneteenth Jamboree. They're actually doing this weekend, 24th and 25th. So if you can be part of that, come out, show your support. I have a wedding to officiate on Saturday, so I won't be out on Saturday, but want to encourage you, if you can come out, show your support. It would be huge for the community. Definitely make a statement. Definitely want to try to bring things in the area. So big ups to them that are putting on that Juneteenth Jamboree. All the individuals involved, the various vendors, the volunteers, the artists that are performing. So want to encourage you to come out then as well. Then we have coming up also next week here in the local Olean area. Again, just want to kind of throw this out and let y'all see what's going on. If you can see that, there's the Alfred University. We're doing a cheer camp on June 26th and 27th over at Eastview Elementary from 5 p.m. to 7:30. It's $40, ages 6 to 11. You don't have to attend Olean. You don't have to cheer for Olean. But if you're in the area and want to participate, come out with those drills. So there's going to be the cheer camp, and there's also the football camp on June 28th, again ages 6 through 11. You can go ahead and check out the Olean Huskies youth cheer and football page to get more information there. You can sign up there. Also, we've started signups for the league as well. So wanted to throw that out there. And then I was blessed. I say blessed. I mean, I ordered, but I don't know if you can see it, but this particular journal that had made for me, it's got the laser engraved logo for the podcast on it. It's laser engraved with my name, and then on the back, it's got old Rocky from Third ID, little my military days, but custom journal from Sawdust and Sparks, or Sparks and Sawdust. I'm sorry if I messed it up. But you can check them out. They've got all kinds of custom laser engraving, 3D printing. Hit them up. They can definitely see what they can do to try to help you out and bring whatever project it is you have, bring it to life. But I want to thank you guys for rocking with me for 100 episodes now. The podcast has grown. We've had some hiccups. We've had some problems. We've had a little, some struggles over the course of the last couple of years that the podcast has been around. But, we're still here going strong. Multiple countries. I mean, several countries, in almost every one of the 50 states we have listeners in. So really excited about that. Really thankful about that. To be honest, that's definitely something that I don't take lightly, man. I don't take the support lightly. I don't take the messages that I get, the emails that we get in reference to the podcast and things going on. But big ups to all you guys out there that are going after your dreams, man. Honestly, going after the things that you want to make happen, the things that you're passionate about, the things that that make you happy, that bring you a level of satisfaction, because not everybody can do that, man. Honestly, not everybody can get through, not everybody can push through. But we are going to jump into tonight's topic. I got a couple more announcements here towards the end. I'll probably throw them out, or I might throw them out in between. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. But want to take a minute, and of course, as always, those of you that are just tuning in for the first time, or those that have rocked with me for a little bit, you guys know my faith is paramount to who I am. It's part of me. It's not just something I cling to. It's legitimately, it's part of me. It's how I operate. It's how I approach life. Does that mean I'm perfect? Does that mean I'm better than anybody else? Nah, not at all. But I understand that a man with an experience is never at the mercy of a man with an argument. And I've had an experience, and that's how I live my life. So, I tend to lean on and reference scripture a lot, as far as my faith is concerned. And the way that I look at a mirror, man, a mirror helps me see who it is that I am, helps me become who I want to be, right? It helps me challenge myself and where it is I want to go. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that reflection tonight. We're going to jump into tonight's topic. Life is similar to an open world video game. Now, some of you guys know what I'm talking about. Some of you don't, and that's fair. An open, what is an open world video game? If somebody wants to drop something in the comments, or, an example, I mean, you have, games like, they're not completely open world, but you've got, Spider-Man, you've got Monster Hunter, you've got Destiny, Diablo is kind of an open world dungeon crawler. You have Red Dead Redemption, GTA. They're kind of open world, right? Like, you can kind of go wherever you want to go on the map. You can kind of go in the manner that you want to go in. You don't necessarily have to follow the quote unquote main mission, the campaign mission, right? That's what I'm talking about when I talk about an open world video game. There's a lot of options. Like, you can kind of compare it, I guess, to like a choose your own adventure book, right? And so as we go through life, and taking a minute and realizing that, hey, you know what, it's kind of like an open world video game, right? Like, things aren't always easy. Things don't always happen how we want them to happen. Things don't always come to fruition as we've planned, no matter how hard we happen to work for it, right? And I was having a conversation with someone not too long ago, and I'll put posts up, but it's okay, number one, to not be okay. Like, that's something that I think we all need to realize, is that it's okay to not be okay, right? You hear people talking about, oh, well, nah, you shouldn't be getting angry, you shouldn't be getting this, you shouldn't, just trust God. Well, you know what, if that's all I had to do, well, gee, thanks. Thanks. Just trust God. Just forget my emotions. But the problem is, even if I look into scripture, I shouldn't just blow off my emotions, right? I was created in the image and likeness of God. And if God has all these various emotions, then so do I. And it's okay. One of the passages that I tend to lean on a lot when I talk about this type of thing is, the Bible says to be angry, but sin not. Like, anger isn't the problem. The way you express that anger becomes the problem. Sadness isn't the problem. It's how long you stay caught up in that expression of sadness that can become the problem. You can slip into these depressions. You can be caught up in all kinds of turmoil, right? Well, here's the thing. We tend to, and all of us, I think all of us at one point or another have done it in the past, or maybe we still do it, and we don't necessarily mean anything malicious by it, but we have a tendency to think people should handle stuff the way that we handle things. And see, each one of us are playing this video game, and each one of us may have chosen a different main character, right? In Destiny, the video game Destiny, you'll hear individuals talk about, oh, I'm a hunter main, I'm a Titan main, I'm a Warlock main. Well, what does that mean? That means that particular class of character is your main character. That is your go-to. That's the one you spend the majority of your time using and playing with and building the stats for and obtaining the various equipment and pieces of armor for your character, right? That, I'm a Titan main. When I play Destiny, that's just how it is. When I play other games, I may be, another class of character. I may be a rogue. I may be a barbarian. I may be, whatever it is, a sniper. Those of you that play Call of Duty, like, everybody's got their own little niche, right? They play their own little role in the squad. So we don't all approach things the same way. We don't all play the game the same way. We may all have very similar campaign missions, right? We may all have very similar main missions and main objectives that we have to accomplish in some manner. Like, we all need to get to point A. We all need to get through, high school. We all need to get our license. We all need to, either become an entrepreneur, get a job. So we have to find some way to sustain and support ourselves and our family. For some of us, that might mean college. For some of us, that might mean starting a business. For some of us, that might mean the military. For some of us, that might mean, a trade school. We don't all have the same exact campaign mission, while we may have the same or similar objectives within that campaign. Right. So that's the first thing I think we need to realize, is that you're not me, I'm not you. So I'm not going to handle things the same way that you handle things. What might be traumatic to you might be easy to me, but what might be traumatic to me might be a walk in the park for you. I mean, that's the reality of it. And so if we can realize that in this quote unquote open world game of life, this open world MMO, or this open world dungeon crawler, or whatever, this open world game of life that we're playing, if we can all realize that even though we have similar campaign missions or similar campaign goals, each one of us might main a different type of character. Each one of us you might main a Titan, or a warlock or a hunter. I main a Titan. And why? Because there's certain aspects about that character that I enjoy, that I like, that mimic or resemble, or that I can connect to, right? And so you might main a hunter for that same type of thing. Maybe you like that more in out, that whole agile ninja type flair, whatever the case may be, but you handle things differently than what I might handle or what somebody else handle. Why? Because you main the campaign with a different character or a different character set. Now, as we're moving along in this open world thing called life, right? A lot of people think that, oh, well, you're 25, you're 26, you're 33, when you're going to settle down, you're 42, you're 50, when you're going to settle down, when you're going to figure out what you want to do, when you're going to find a wife, when you're going to have kids, when you're going to get a career and stop jumping job to job to job, or being a quote unquote serial entrepreneur with nothing to show for. When are you going to listen? You're not running the campaign for me. This is my game I'm playing. So I don't have to play it at your pace, right? I can take what in the gaming world we reference as side missions, right? That's kind of off the beaten path. We don't have to take those missions. We don't have to play that aspect of the game, but some of us choose to, and we choose to do it at different times. You're not going to do it the same time I am, for whatever reason. Maybe you're not in the mood. Maybe you don't feel your stats are where they need to be. Or maybe I'm taking on that additional mission for that very reason. I'm trying to gain that experience, right? Those experience points in the game, so I can level up my character. And so we work through this game of life, even though we're all moving on a similar direction as far as our campaign is concerned, and the campaign objectives and campaign goals. We're moving in the same type of direction. We have similar campaign goals, but those side missions, we can do those however we want to. You might not do any of them. I might do all of them. I might do this one today and then go back to the campaign and then come back and do some side missions. Listen, life doesn't have to be, and honestly, most of the time is not linear. You're not just going to get from point A to point B with no detours. I mean, that's reality. And the beautiful thing is, if you look at scripture, so often individuals were separated, so to speak, from the main campaign group, from the main party, to go different routes, to take different detours, to do different things. Jesus himself separated himself from the disciples on a number of occasions and told them to go on ahead without him. He was on his way, and here he go, oh, Lazarus, your friend Lazarus is dead, and he rerouted everything. Told the disciples, hey, you know what? Go off to the other side. And that's when they experienced him out there walking on the water, right? And in the midst of the storm. And so we have these different paths. Mango Cabbage, how are you, sir? How are you? Hope everything's good tonight. Thank you for joining. We have these different things as we progress through this game, this open world game of life. And we progress through this, and we get to choose. That's the beautiful thing about this, man. We have the privilege to choose what side missions we want to do while we're working through the campaign. We decide how to pace ourselves working through this campaign of life. I don't have to rip through every campaign mission and make it to the end and beat the final boss before I start side missions. I can do some side missions, do a campaign mission, do some side missions, do a campaign mission. Or maybe I want to do all the side missions I have access to, then advance in the campaign. And then after that, I go back to some side missions. However you want to do it, man. This thing called life is a choose your own adventure. Don't let anybody else's progress dictate your progress. Don't do that, because you're not me. I'm not you. I'm not going to operate. I'm not going to move the same way that you are. We're not maining the same character. We don't have the same goals. When I play a game, it's one of these things where I dictate how I play the game, not the other people I know that are playing the same game. If that makes sense. We help each other. But you know what? They might go one direction. I might go off another. I would fall under your Protestant, your Pentecostal charismatic Christian. Mango, that's what I would fall under if you had to categorize it. I tend not to fall under denominational titles, honestly, or labels, I should say. But as we work through this campaign of life, we have that opportunity. And then we come across the NPCs. That's the other aspect of this open world game, right? NPCs. You guys know what NPCs are. Those are non-player characters. Those are the jokers that are in the game that say stuff, as you walk by, or maybe you stop and talk to them, and they drop little nuggets here and there. They might be warnings. They might be little tricks and tips, or it might just be, it might just be something that, is just there to enhance the game some. I appreciate that, Mr. Malone. Thank you so much, Ty, for the congrats. Definitely excited to finally hit that 100th episode. So I mean, it is, you have those NPCs, right? Those characters, and some of you guys, we can also kind of parallel another game, to this campaign of life is Ark, right? I haven't too much got into Ark, but I know some other people that have. But you go in and you got your character, and you're building up your character stats, and you're raising, these animals, dinosaurs, whatever, building a fort, a base, but while you're going through that whole process, you're vulnerable at times because you're not logged into the game, but people can still operate on that particular server. And the same thing is true in our life, man. You're going to be vulnerable at times. That's okay. You're not always going to come out on top. And I know that sucks, and I know that hurts, and that's rough, but that's the reality behind it. Sometimes you're going to get raided. Sometimes you're going to get pummeled. You're going to get beat down sometimes. Sometimes you ain't going to clear the first boss on the first go. You're not going to, complete the end game on the first go. It might take you 15, 14, 16, 17, 27 different times in order to beat a game. I remember growing up as a kid on the Nintendo, my parents would play a game called Bubble Bobble. Okay, Bubble Bobble. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but those of you that do know Bubble Bobble, there's, they would get to a game, and you would hit that 99 level, right? And they're trying to beat that 99, and they just couldn't. I don't know, thinking back, I don't know if they ever beat it, right? But they didn't stop trying. They still enjoyed it. I think that's one of the things too, and that kind of goes into Ty's comment here. He talks about, sometimes you might need to go co-op. Exactly. Like they were doing it, instead of one person trying to do it. Or you have games like Destiny where, certain aspects of the game, certain missions, whether they be side missions like your strikes and stuff that you have to do, you operate as a 3-man squad. For Rage, you operate as a 6-man squad. In, some of these dungeon crawlers, you operate in a 4-man squad. In games like Art, you build up your, I don't know what they're called, your clan, I guess, and so you have various people, and so you might have people on when you can't be on, so they can protect the assets, right? And so as we go through this campaign of life in this open world, we get to pick and choose how we progress through it. First of all, how we get to the end game is on us. It's not on anybody else. It's not on you. It's not on them. It's not on your mama, your daddy, your best friend, nobody else but you, how to progress through this campaign of life. But as you progress, you come across these different campaign missions. You build a clan, you build a support base with different people. And sometimes those that are strongest in your corner are people you just met, or people you don't really know. They just happen to be there. And so they see you struggling in the game and they step up and help you out. Rust is another one that's kind of like that. So you have all these various games that parallel aspects of life. And we have to come to a place where we realize, listen, my life ain't your life. Your life isn't my life. And so we progress differently. We main different classes and different character types. Like I said, in Destiny, I main a Titan. Ain't nobody but a Titan. That's how I feel, right? And a lot of guys I play with, they main hunters, and it's almost like the military branches talking crap to each other and talking smack to each other. We do the same thing, Titans and hunters and warlocks. Like we're part of the game, so to speak. And so as you're going through life and you pick your main, the beautiful thing in life though too is you can change your main. You can change your main character as many times as you want to. It's okay to not be okay. Hello. It's okay to feel like I got to take a step back. I got to change some things about me so I can address things in a better way, address things in a different way, so I can make more of an impact in my life, so I can accomplish my goals. Because maybe I got to this one mission that I just can't, I can't get past. I can't make it further. I just don't have the right stats on, I don't have the right role on my character's equipment, right, in the video game. So I got to switch some things up. And so you go back and you step back and you go back to that menu and you switch up your assets, right? You switch up your armor, you switch up your weapons, you switch up your stats, because certain weapons are better in certain situations. Certain weapons, certain stats are better than that are better in different bosses, right? They affect different bosses in the game differently. And so not really, no, Maggle, but we move differently depending on the obstacle that's in our way, right? I think sometimes in life we feel like we got to be this cookie cutter because we're always hard, we're always this way, always that way. Like I hear about this thing we talk about, like men, right? Oh well, toxic masculinity, and oh, you should be able to cry, and all this type of thing. Well, yeah, if you want to cry, cry, but if you don't want to, don't feel bad about not crying. Like how you choose to respond is how you choose to respond. Ty says it's always okay to regroup if needed. 100%. Even when I was in the military, right? If we were accomplishing our goal, accomplishing our mission, then we would regroup. We would have to stop, and we would have to take a step back, and we'd have to, hey, what's going on? What's happening? What we need to readjust. We have to adjust fire. And sometimes you have to do that in the moment because the mission dictates it, right? Sometimes you do have to take a step back and take a look. Hey, you know what? We got to build up over here, and we got to change that. Let's change this character stat. You know what? Hey, I need this. Like there's certain aspects in Destiny, right, where certain character aspects, specifically like the Titan, there's one class of the Titan, right? He throws like this big bubble shield up, and in certain aspects of the game, that is an awesome help. or a power well, like all these different things, right? With these different characters. And that's why it's important to be open and to be flexible, to have like a Gumby personality, right? To blessed are the flexible, for they shall be flexed, this type of thing. You have to be able to adjust fire, right? Shoot, move, communicate is what we say in the military. You've got to be able to make the adjustments on the fly sometimes. But if you're rigid, or if you're only listening to everybody else, if you're trying to run this thing called life the way somebody else is running it, identical to how they're running it, it might be more of a struggle for you than necessary. How to communicate with the creators, Mango. Yeah, of course, you got to take a minute and stop. And for me, my faith is paramount, so I stop and reevaluate things. And I look at, I talk to God all the time, be like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is how I'm feeling. I'm struggling. I don't think, this is right. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Whatever it is, I have real conversations with my faith. That's how I operate. That's not how everybody operates. It's not my job to have a relationship with your creator, with your God. That's not my job. My job is to live out my faith, and that's what I do. And I do that the same way, essentially the same way that I'm walking through and operating, in these games, right? These open world games, the same way. The NPCs that I come across in life, right? The people that have opinions but no substance. Have y'all come across that before, right? Everybody got an opinion, but they ain't got no substance. Everybody telling you can't do it, and they've never even tried to do it, that type of thing. And listen, launching out into the deep, as far as whether it's to be an entrepreneur, to try something, kind of crazy and new, something that's not safe, it's not necessarily for everybody, and success looks different to different people, right? So to person A, if I look at the video game, right, that character that has the best looking, the prettiest armor, and the most quote unquote money or gold in their account on the video game, they're looked at, oh man, they're set up for the end game. Well, you know what? That might not be the end game that I'm progressing to. So that doesn't impress me, right? I talk to people all the time, and their biggest motivator, especially me coming out of a world of collections. Those of you that don't know, I was actively in third-party collections for the better part of 12, 13 years, 14 years. And I still do some consulting now and some training now for smaller collection agencies. The motivator for the majority of people in that industry, just like in sales, is money. Like that's the biggest motivator. Like people put, their value, they put their identity into how much money they have. Well, listen, just because you can flash me a watch, a pair of shoes, or a new car, that doesn't tell me how much money you have. That tells me how much money you spent. Big difference. It doesn't tell me your actual value. That just shows me you had some money at one point in time and was able to buy some things. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with living good, having money, living nice, having nice things, whatever makes you happy, man. As long as you're not a crap person, then outstanding. As long as you're not a terrible person, cool. Do what you do. Ain't nothing wrong with having nice things. Ain't nothing wrong with dressing good, smelling good, driving good, being able to have a little cash here and there, and if you do have that, if you have that extra cash, it's not your responsibility to foot the bill for everybody anyway, either, just because you got some money, but at the same time, like for me, money don't impress me. It really does not. Some of the worst people that I've met are people with money or make money their priority. They're individuals that, their level of integrity is non-existent. Well, how do you know, Doc? Well, because, I watched them, fill out a form with incorrect information and smile in my face like it was correct. So I already know you don't have a level of integrity. So in that aspect, you don't impress me, no matter how much money you have, because I understand your character, right? For me, some years back, I was making about 126,000 a year before my bonus, working for a particular company. And when I went through some things with that particular company and struggled a little bit with that company, and I was working some insane hours, and I was there. I had a business trip I went on. I want to say the business trip was like 4 or 5 days, and it took like 3-4 days before my son at the time even realized that I was gone. So I knew I had to make a change, right? Money to me, the way that I look at it, yeah, I like to spend it. Please don't misunderstand anything I'm about to say here. I like to spend it. I'm not saying money's bad. I'm not saying having it's bad. I'm not saying having nice things is bad. I'm saying it don't impress me. And the reason it doesn't impress me is because, one, I'm always going to need more of it. No matter how much I have, I'm going to need more of it. And number two, God has blessed me to always be able to obtain it. And so I left a job making $126,000 a year before bonus. After bonus, I was probably making $150. I left that job and I went to a collection agency starting at $26,500. I took over $100,000 a year pay cut in a matter of hours. Okay. Now, am I back up to that six-figure status? No. But am I fulfilled in the various things that I've been able to do? Yeah. The various things that I do. I ghostwrite for people. I write myself. I'm involved with community organizations. I'm involved with ministry, the podcast, things that I'm launching from the podcast, other businesses that I'm talking to and working with, and people that I've been able to have an impact on. To me, that's success. That's what's success to me. That's fulfilling to me. But that doesn't mean that has to be what's fulfilling for you. Hello. Like, I hear people all the time, oh man, you should work for yourself, be your own boss, be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to be. It's like not everybody wants to be a homeowner. Like all these different things. And that's okay. That's their character. That's their art. That's their campaign story, right? Like, it's okay not to want the same things as somebody else. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. It's okay to have a different definition of success from the next person. That doesn't make you right. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make them right. It doesn't make them wrong, right? But as I work through this campaign of life and I go on these different side quests, right? These other opportunities to present themselves, or maybe my side quest right now is my current 9 to 5. Maybe that's temporary, type of thing. Maybe my next side quest is moving to a new place, or maybe my next side quest is an announcement that I've got here in a couple minutes. Those are all part of helping me, the building blocks throughout my campaign missions, my goals in life, my ultimate objective, right? These different things, going to school, working with this business, writing this book, doing blah, 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 these different things. And we each have to find our own path through this campaign, right? That's why it's open world. We don't all have to do it the same. We don't have to look the same, sound the same, do the same. It's just, we don't have to, and that's okay. If we would stop comparing ourselves with other people, okay, if we would stop comparing and competing. Listen, the people at the bottom are going to compare and compete. The people at the top are trying to collaborate. They're trying to get in those parties, those squads, those clans. They're trying to get in that, like Ty said earlier, you need a co-op, right? You need that cooperation. You need that team. And that's what people at the top, that's what they do. Man, I ain't worried about what you got. Like, as far as in a bad way, like, I'm glad you got it. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're successful. I really am. I'm with you 100%. I think it's outstanding that you're there. And you know what? I think we can help each other. Let's work together. We can take out this next boss that both of us been struggling with playing this game. Listen, there's a game called Elden Ring, right? I don't know if any of y'all play this game, Elden Ring, but it is $70, $75 of frustration every time I play this game. Every time I play this game, I want to take my controller and I want to throw it, right? I get frustrated because it's like these bosses sometimes are crazy, And so what do? I link up with somebody, I co-op, I collaborate with somebody so I can progress and advance. Things happen in little, bro, Ty, when I tell you I get frustrated, like, I swear that game ain't nothing but $75 of high blood pressure. But I still enjoy it. Why? Because it's a challenge. It gives me an opportunity to meet new people. We have, like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, this weekend they have the Juneteenth Jamboree. And I want to say this is the 3rd year that it's being done here in the area. It might be the 4th, but I want to say it's the 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken. But people in the community stepped up to make things happen. They put the foot forward. They did the legwork. They built the foundation for it. They got people in the community involved. 4 year. Yeah, the 4th year. And here in this little community, they've got the 4th year that they're having the Juneteenth Jamboree, that they've got various artists and musicians, various vendors. It's both Saturday and Sunday. Like, it's become a thing here in the community, right? It makes an impact here in the community. Well, that started because some people decided that while they were on their campaign missions, they decided to take one of them side quests, not pay attention to the chirping from the NPC, and co-op with a handful of people and go ahead and build something. And so if you do those things in life, man, I promise you, capitalize on your strengths and acknowledge your weaknesses. Don't pretend your weaknesses aren't there. Acknowledge your weaknesses. Why? So number one, you can fix them. You can build on them. You can strengthen them. You can change them from a weakness to a strength. And number two, when you're collaborating, you don't try to be somebody you're not. Understand, listen, I can't do what you do. That's why I want to work with you. And you can't do what I do. I'm bringing this to the table. People ask me all the time, be like, oh, what do you bring to the table? Man, I bring the table. That's what I bring. I bring the table. You ain't got to bring nothing to the table, but help me set it. If you're willing to work, Dominic says, he says, iron sharpens iron. Exactly. You've got to be able to do that in this thing called life. But as you're working through this open world video game of life, it's okay to make your own decisions. It's okay to take a different path than the people around you. You don't have to do things the same way. Y'all hear me? I hope so. I hope this encouraged somebody. I think sometimes we get too caught up with trying to be like everybody else and do like everybody else. I'm not going to be successful being you. I'm not. I might be able to learn from you, right? Learn some skills, learn some characteristics, tweak them to my own strengths and weaknesses, and move from there. But if I try to be you, if I try to clone you, I'm not going to be successful. Why? Because I'm not you, right? You look at these open world video games, right? These different games, co-ops, whether it's Elden Ring, Rust, Destiny, Ark, these different games, even if it's the same class of character, right? Like in Destiny, even if we're both Titans, I can almost 110% guarantee that we have different armor. And even if it's the same armor, it has different stats. We utilize different weapons. We have a different gameplay, right? Call of Duty, the Squad of 4 to Call of Duty, everybody generally has a different style of gameplay. And you've got to be able to acknowledge those things and come together in order to grow and be successful, right? Coming up in the church and being a preacher, I remember going to Bible college. You would have all these students, especially during preaching lab. They try to preach like everybody else, right? Like they try to preach like Bishop T.D. Jakes or Bishop Noel Jones or Pastor Parsley or, especially Pastor Parsley, because that was the school we went to. They would try to mimic and copy these preachers. And while I understand why they were doing it, if that's not you, it's not going to work. See, I love me a singing preacher. Those of you that are familiar with the charismatic and Pentecostal church, especially Kojic, Church of God in Christ, y'all understand what I'm talking about. I like a singing preacher, but I can't do it. No matter how many times I've tried, I can't do it. I sound terrible. The sermon's horrible. I lose people. I look like a clown. I can't do it. So I stick, instead of trying to be a warlock or a hunter, I stick with my Titan main because that fits my gameplay. It fits my game style. It fits my characteristics. So that's what I do. I stay me. Please stay you in this game of life. Please, regardless of the side missions, campaign mission, the NPCs that you come across, please stay true to who you are. Please stay true to who you are. So I want to encourage you guys again. Thank y'all so much. 100th episode. It's outstanding that we got here. Like I said at the beginning, I wasn't sure we were going to get here. There were a couple of times I put my head down and was like, maybe I should just walk away from this. But you guys have rocked with me. I appreciate all the love and all the support. Dominic says your coach says the same thing about styles. He told me not to imitate certain guys. Exactly. You got to be you. You got to do what works for you and your skill set. And that's right, Ty. Stay you. Exactly. We gotta stay us, man. I can't be you. You can't be me. There's only one me. Could you imagine more than me? Oh my God, I couldn't. It'd be too much of a headache. But real talk. Like we gotta be true to who we are, and that's what I've tried to do with this podcast. What I've tried to do with the different things that I've had going on. Like I said earlier, A big shout out to Ashanti Broxy from the Florida Avengers for hitting that all-pro team this year. They'll be playing this weekend. Congratulations to the upcoming graduates for Olean High School. I appreciate that, Todd. Thank you that much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. June 28th, we have the football camp. Alfred University is going to be coming down for that. So we still have spots open for that, as well as the cheer camp on the 26th, I believe it was. The Juneteenth Jamboree here in the area this Saturday and Sunday, 24th, 25th. Y'all keep your boy in prayer. I got midterms coming up right now that I've got this week. I've got a wedding to officiate this weekend. It's, men's mental health awareness month, all kinds of things that I'm trying to get involved in and trying to make a difference on. And one more little announcement that I wanted to throw out there. So, for those of you that don't know, I used to pastor a church down in Florida and came up here, and I've been working with a few different ministries, trying to help my dad's ministry out when I can, and, when I'm not stuck at work. But I think a lot of times we get caught up sometimes in dogmatic tradition. And that's really been on my heart. The fact that we don't, in today's church, there's a lacking of discipleship. And so with that being said, one of the things that is in the process of happening and being birthed is a new ministry that's going to be based out of this area, but it's going to be more of an online format. So it's church, but it's online. So I'm excited about that. If that's something that you might want to, get involved in, definitely not asking you to leave whatever church you're already at, stay there, stay strong. But if you want to participate in something in your off time, by all means, hit us up. Definitely want to focus on making a difference in the community, personal growth, that discipleship, just really getting outside of dogmatic tradition, outside of the cult of Christian nationalism, and really back to what it is that Scripture is. So I'm really excited about that. That'll probably officially launch, hopefully, at the beginning of next month. Got a few little wrinkles to iron out still, but it'll be an online platform. Again, it's church. Just because it's not brick and mortar doesn't mean it's not church. So I definitely want to encourage you guys, if you're interested in any way, shape, or form, getting involved in something like that, something that really wants to pour back into you and not just siphon from your wallet, that really wants to help you grow and build, that doesn't want to operate like a business, but wants to operate how Scripture dictates that we should operate, then by all means, shoot us a message. Let me know. Drop a comment on the page, something to that effect. Doesn't matter where you're at. Obviously, it's an online platform, so you don't have to be playing it anywhere. But again, thank you guys so much for rocking with me, hitting that 100th episode. I was only able to hit it because you guys are so supportive, man, liking and sharing and inviting people to the page, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you all very, very much. And if nothing else after tonight, please, please, please remember, as you go through this open world game of life, be you. Be you. Stay authentically you. Appreciate it, Todd. Thank you very much for that. I do. So with that being said, you guys, I'm going to pray for you. Y'all pray for me, and we'll catch you next time on Reflections with Dr. Gary Harvey.